It may be a long time before the nation digs itself out of debt. That's according to Simon Johnson, co-author of White House Burning, The Founding Fathers, Our National Debt, and Why It Matters to You. He's also a professor at MIT Sloan School of Management. In a recent conversation, he told me one of the problems is most people don't understand what the federal government does. Simon Johnson is co-author of White House Burning, The Founding Fathers, Our National Debt, and Why It Matters to You. He's also a professor at MIT Sloan School of Management. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
What makes you say most people don't understand what the federal government does?
Well, 40% of all people who take a pension through Social Security don't think they participate in any government program. And it's about the same, 40% of people who use Medicare don't think it's a government program. Those are not just big government programs, they are the quintessential federal government programs of today, and those two programs together are almost 40% of what the federal government spends.
And of course it's a huge topic right now on the campaign trail.
Well, no one wants to talk about raising taxes. Obama is talking about a Buffett tax on the millionaires. That is a small drop in the bucket compared to the revenue you need to address the budget. The Republicans don't want to talk about taxes at all, even closing loopholes, even closing egregious subsidies through the tax code. They don't want to talk about it. So I think the taxes are the big sticking point in this conversation.
What needs to happen?
Well, we need to control spending, that is for sure. We need to address the spending through Social Security and through Medicare. But mostly we need to strengthen our revenue. We've had a big tax revolt over 3 decades in this country. It's gone too far. We need to pull that back towards the center. But the Republican Party absolutely doesn't want to hear about that. And that's a very big part of the logjam right now in Washington.
Well, that's absolutely true. They've already signed that deal saying that they will not raise taxes. So where do we go from here? I mean, we're just stuck.
Well, we're stuck, but it's an interesting moment this year because the Bush-era tax cuts expire at the end of December. So if we remain stuck, actually those tax cuts will go away and taxes will go up. Maybe that's too dramatic and too quick for people. There are ways to handle that. In the book, we talk about making fiscal adjustment over 2 decades and buffering that adjustment. But now there is a moment when we might, against all the odds, actually make some progress.
You also call for, in your book, an increase on gasoline. 50 cents more on gas per gallon?
Over 2 decades. I get this question a lot everywhere I go in the country. People say, you're crazy. You can't discourage us from using fossil fuel. I agree. Right now it will be a shock. But over 20 years, you're telling me we can't move our economy a bit away from oil towards more fuel-efficient vehicles, for example? Of course we can do that. But people absolutely don't want to talk about it. People want the government services and not to pay for them.
Will we remain in debt then?
Well, we will certainly have some level of debt, for the absolutely significant level of debt for the foreseeable future. The question, though, is, does debt spiral out of control, or do you bring it down and maintain it at a reasonable level relative to the size of the overall economy? That is absolutely part of what's at stake in this November's election. I don't know that either side is going to talk to you completely in an honest fashion about that.
Simon Johnson is talking with us today. He's author of the book White House Burning, The Founding Fathers, Our National Debt, and Why It Matters to You. He's also a professor at MIT Sloan School of Management. Thank you so much.